In this final episode of the PC Build Vlog, we're going to talk about some of my final thoughts on this whole process and what is going to happen next. So if you've made it this far, you've seen me reflect on the past. You've seen me talk about the initial parts that I gathered. You saw me not show, but talk about the entire build that I went with and how my setup has changed. And now we're past the point where you've seen the build, and we're here to talk about some final thoughts on this whole process. Now, building a computer is not as difficult as maybe it used to be. It's pretty straightforward. It's literally make sure your parts are compatible, plug everything in, make sure everything's nice and firm. But there's still always going to be hiccups, and the hiccups are pretty extensive most of the time. Some of them are minor, some of them are major. I'm going to talk about some of those right now, and I'm going to talk about how I've either worked around them or how I'm going to work around them, because we're still dealing with them. First and foremost, there it is in all its glory, right there. As you can see, the RGB effect is in full effect. The GPU and the motherboard are synced up. The issue I've run into there is sometimes Aura Sync can get a little wonky and suddenly start using 8 to 9% of my CPU, and I've not really quite figured out how that happens. There have been a few other things related to software, but we're going to talk about the hardware issues that I ran into first. The first thing was actually getting the NZXT X62 Kraken in there. I originally wanted to do it in a push configuration with the fans underneath the cooler. I originally wanted to do it with the fans underneath the radiator, not the cooler, the radiator. But I ran into a problem with that. And the problem I ran into was the additional 4-pin power for the CPU was pushing too hard into the fan. And what ended up happening there was the fan wouldn't turn. And if I had booted up the system with it like that, it would have been a big disaster, I think. It would have been really bad. Luckily, though, I tried to spin the fans at one point and I realized it was obstructed. It wasn't going to spin. I figured out what the problem was pretty quickly. And I initially had disconnected the 4-pin power because everything I had seen was it's optional. It's not something that you need to do. It's not going to affect a minor overclock. It's going to affect someone who's really trying to push the system to its limits. A few days later, well, not a few days, but later, a day or two later, I decided I was going to redo things a little bit, and I put it into a pull configuration, which was a different kind of a pain in the butt. There was still resistance, but I was able to get it in place. Now, there is a little bit of pressure against the wires, but it doesn't seem to be bad enough to where I'd have to be concerned about it. But it is worth watching. But it booted, everything was fine, and I've been able to overclock it a little bit since. Now, my overclock is pretty minor. It's only at 4.1 gigahertz at this point in time. I haven't really played around with it much, and the reason behind that is I just simply haven't played around with it much, and I goofed a little bit initially when I started to do my initial overclocks, and I'll get to that later if I remember. The other issue I was running into was with the SATA cables that the power supply came with. They're not conducive to the SSD brackets that are inside of the bottom of this case. Now, the way NZXT has designed this, you put the SSDs in the bottom on top of the power supply shroud, and then they're right there. They're out visible for people to see. These SATA cables, especially since I think this power supply only came with 2 strands, and the way they worked out is I could not get the second SSD power. I could not get the cable to really feel like it was firmly in. So it's in the power. It's actually in the regular hard drive bay, and it's mounted to a regular tray, and that ended up fixing that problem. And then I was able to use the 3 SATA cables on that length to ultimately make that work. There's always something. Now there's a dog scratching. The other thing that I've run into, the more substantial thing that I'm trying to figure out is the fans. Now, one of the things that I'm encountering is there's a PWM extension cable on this case. Now, this case has a fan. It's a fancy fan splitter. Now, the way the fan splitter is supposed to work is, from what I've been reading, is you actually plug your CPU cooler into the hub, and then the hub goes into the CPU fan option on the motherboard. Because basically what happens is, if you plug the main PWM cord from the splitter into any of the headers on your motherboard, they'll run. But you cannot control them because they're not true PWM fans. It's not a true PWM splitter of any sort. They're just going to run at 100%, which is why it's noisier than it probably needs to be. Unfortunately, I can't do that because the extension cable that I need to connect the CPU cooler to the splitter, then route it back around, that extension was broken. And this underscores a lot of the issues that I've run into with this case. The missing power supply bracket, the power supply bracket that was sent without any screws, the hardware kit that did not have any of those screws, did not have the power supply screws, nor did it have an actual, owner's manual, have really led to some thoughts that I have to reconfigure how I'm going to do this now. Right now, my plan is I'm going to replace the stock fans that are in there. I'm probably going to put a Corsair AF140 in the back, and I'm probably looking at some static pressure fans in the front. And the reason being is it's restricted air. There's restricted airflow entry in there, and then the hard drive cages are right there. And I want to push as much air through there as possible, and then it all comes out the top via the radiator with the pull configuration. And the X62 Kraken already has static pressure fans, so that's not really all that significant of an issue there. I don't need to worry about those too much. So right now I'm looking at some Noctuas. They're about 20 bucks a pop, so I'm looking at about 60 bucks there, about another $13 to $20 on the Corsair, because I'm actually looking at the LED Corsair. It's a red LED one. And then I can actually plug the Noctuas into the two headers that are over here. I could probably split two of the fans, use a splitter for two of the fans, and then the third fan gets its own connection to the motherboard. And those allow me to go into BIOS and do a fan curve and adjust the fans as necessary, because they are PWM fans. They're 4-pin fans. The Corsair AF140 is not, so I have to decide if I want to try and find one that is PWM, a 4-pin PWM, or go with static pressure. Static pressure seems like a little bit of a waste back there because it's not really restricted. I mean, there's a little bit of a grill, but it's not terrible. Still plotting that one out, and then that one can go into one of the headers on that side, or it could even go up, I think, into CPU optional. Either way, I want to be able to get into at least the BIOS and control them, or use an external software program to slow them down a little bit when it's, where it's at right now. My case is not overheating. It's the airflow isn't great through that case, so temperatures are up a little bit more than I think they would be otherwise, but they're not bad. And I have the Kraken on its own little performance curve, so I'm not really worried about overheating in there. The other issue, though, that I have run into is with the cam software overall. And again, this all ties back to NZXT. They make really good looking stuff, but it doesn't always seem to do what you need it to do. And the cam software is one of those things that doesn't seem to always do what you need it to do. As in fact, right now, if I go into the cam software, I won't be able to do anything with the Kraken because it's not being detected. For some reason, after a restart yesterday, it went from being detected to undetected. And it's happened a couple of times, and it just will randomly suddenly be there again. I have no real idea of why that happens. It just kind of happens. So those have been some of my minor issues. I'm working through them, though. Like I said, I think I'm going to replace the fans, and I think I'm going to give them their own headers, and then that way I can control them as I need to. Some people will sit there and say, well, you don't need to control case fans so much as long as your cooler is the one ramping up. These guys are going at 100% right now, and it's loud enough to where I can hear it. I initially had issues with the overclock. And the reason being was because I was a dummy. And I know this is what it was because there's no other explanation for it. For some reason, I decided when I first loaded up this computer to go into the easy tuning application that is in the BIOS, and I set it and it did an automatic overclock of 3700, 3.7 gigahertz with an XMP profile. And I tried to base an overclock off of that, but I should have realized that that was what the issue was. I should have reset it right then and there. It just wasn't stable. When I tried to actually go in and do a 4.2 gigahertz overclock, it wasn't stable. So I eventually figured out I'm a dum-dum. That's not how you do this. I restored it to default configurations, and then I gave the ASUS Suite 3 program a try to let it do its thing, and it got it to 4.1. I think we can go further. I think at some point in the next couple weeks, I'm going to reset it again and just manually overclock it and see what happens, because I've seen people get as much as 4.5, 4.6 gigahertz at 1.3 volts. Now, I don't necessarily want to do that because this case is already not great at keeping things cool. I probably should keep it somewhere in the 1.25 to 1.27 volt area, which means I'm probably still going to be limited to about 4.1, 4.2, but I'd rather do it myself and know exactly what's going on with the overclock. The other major issue that I ended up running into was when I thought I had a steal on my graphics card. Now, I have the ASUS GTX 1070 Strix Overclock Edition, and I had found it open box at Micro Center for $356. I thought it was a deal. I thought, oh man, this is just my luck. I've been catching breaks on prices all the way through this build. It was too good to be true. And it seemed fine at first. In fact, I was really excited once I got everything up and running and I was ready to run my benchmarks and I got Cinebench going, and it crashed. Like it just went. That was with the overclock. That was the overclock on the processor did that. Heaven. No, it wasn't Heaven. I didn't have Heaven installed. I had Valley installed. I went to run the Valley benchmark because I had run it on my laptop back here and I had gotten a really bad score. And I went to run it on this guy and I'm thinking, oh, this is a GTX 1070. This is going to be great. It's about 3 seconds into the test, it artifacted like crazy. Just all over the screen, just nothing but artifacts. Went, well, shit. At this point, though, I had, gone to the forums and had overclocked it. It had given us a very mild boost clock overclock and a pretty substantial memory overclock. And then I read, that these things with the Micron memory were bad overclockers for memory. So I dropped it all the way back down to stock, ran the benchmark again, and artifacts all over the screen, froze, crashed, hard restart. We have a problem. Okay. So I'm thinking, okay, well, it's just, maybe the benchmark is just too harsh for it. I tried to, reason with myself. I tried to make it seem like it wasn't that big of a deal, but the reality was it was a big deal. And I realized this when I loaded up Battlefield 1, started to play, and artifacts, game froze, system restarted. On a side note, Battlefield 1, if you are having issues running it and you have CAM software open on your computer, shut your CAM software. Pro tip. There's something with those two things that interfere, and you can't have CAM open and do Battlefield 1. It just won't do it. It just will not even open. Took me closing every program on this stinking computer to figure that one out. I decided, okay, you know what? I bet you I got a bad one. I bet you they took this in, they tested it, it loaded up a screen, and everything was hunky-dory, and they washed their hands of it. So I went back up to Micro Center, took it back up, paid the difference in price between the open box and a brand new one, and wouldn't you know, the stinking thing works. And I got a pretty decent boost clock overclock going. I think it comes in at about 1835 on the boost clock, something like that. And I've got it up to about 1915. The memory is at 808 megahertz out of the box, and I have it up to 9048 megahertz, and it is stable. I could probably drop the boost clock and get more of a memory clock, but I haven't really decided if the benefits of tweaking that any further outweigh them. The only issue I have is, of course, we have another piece of software that doesn't play nice. The GPU tweak software that I've been using to set these overclocks, sometimes when I restart my computer, it's not saving it. Even though it is checked, the profile is saved, it's not actually saving it. And if it continues to do this, I may have to switch to MSI Afterburner or EVGA's Precision software to try and do the overclock, because this is just starting to annoy me with this kind of issue. And these are the little things that are a little bothersome. Like, I just want to have my GPU overclocked a little bit. I want my processor to be overclocked a little bit. I want my CAM software to recognize my Kraken so I can adjust it as I see fit. As of right now, I cannot change the color on that LED ring because I can't access it because the Kraken is not detected. And these are things that have been reported by users of CAM for quite some time. So it's not a new situation. The CAM software is buggy. It just does not always work. And I think instead of fixing things, they're adding new things, and there's like a GPU overclock utility in there. Like, get rid of that, fix what you already have so that people can use it the way they need to use it. Because otherwise, this is solid. This is very solid. Don't hear the pump. I don't know if it's the if it's the cooler fans or if it's the other case fans that I'm hearing. I'll know soon enough, I hope, because I will be replacing those. Because I want to fix the noise issue. Like, it's just enough that where if I record right now, if I record gameplay, I'm going to be picking up that hum, and that's one of the things I've been trying to get away from. I don't want the hum. And we have a dog dreaming, so you're going to hear her. Other things that have cropped up during this process: DxTory not playing nice with the X264 codec. I cannot figure this one out for the life of me. It works fine on the laptop. I can record with X264. I try to use the same settings, all same settings, nothing's different. When I try to use it on the new machine, the game immediately minimizes it and I cannot get back into it. And I do not quite understand it. I don't want to use other codecs because X264 is like that perfect middle ground between decent file sizes and really good quality, because Magic YUV and UTV all have like double the file size of X264. So I really am trying to figure out what the problem is. I don't know if it's a conflict with NVIDIA. I don't think it is, because this is an NVIDIA based system. I know I used to have issues with this with recording if, for some reason the Intel GPU took over, but X99 doesn't have, the X99 chipset doesn't have internal GPUs. They run off discrete. So that's not really an issue. I can't find anything that on the internet. There's nothing. And that's partially of that is because DxTory is just, there's not a lot of information on DxTory. If something goes wonky in DxTory, you're on your own. You have to figure it out, because most of the posts are from like 3 or 4 years ago. So haven't quite figured that one out. I may, if I continue to have problems, I may be switching to Meraxis. It's Action. I may be switching to Action because I need to have something that, gives me the dual audio in case I need to cleanse it. Plus, I like having control over the game audio versus the microphone audio, so that if I have the game audio really loud, I can just turn it down in Adobe Premiere Pro till it balances just right. I could use OBS, and an OBS Studio does have the thing where you can have multiple audio channels, but I have not tested that yet. In fact, I have not run OBS yet. I need to configure OBS. I need to configure Adobe Premiere Pro still. There's a lot of stuff I still need to do. But I wanted to make sure people understood that we are up and running. It's running pretty well, actually. Things install very fast. Things load very fast. I've played a little bit of Battlefield 1. I've played some Star Wars Battlefront. I booted up a number of different games just to see if they were working fine. I've no issues. Everything is running really, really exceptionally well. I love the fact that I'm basically playing at full graphical settings. That is the thing I wanted to do for years now. I can do it. I am no longer being limited by what my hardware is capable of. I am limited by myself. It is not just hardware in me. It is just me now. So if it looks like crap, it's me. It is not the machine. The machine is humming along really well. All in all, the final thoughts on this build, it was pretty straightforward outside of the little bit of kinks that I came across. I did tweak some things. I do have the additional 4-pin power in for the CPU. I did figure that one out. I just flipped the radiator fans into a pull configuration. I do want to replace the front fans. I want to put Noctuas or something along those lines in there. They need to be 4-pin PWM though. I want control over them. I will probably be changing the exhaust fan, maybe to a Corsair AF 140. Maybe I'll use an SP fan there as well. Outside of that though, I mean, it looks good. It sounds, it's not terribly loud. It's not the worst thing in the world. I could deal with it. Boots up without any issue. Everything is working in. The memory was all detected. It overclocked okay on the XMP profile. All the hard drives were found and working perfectly fine. There's just not a whole lot that I could say terribly negative. There's some issues, but they're not terrible issues. Everything so far has been a fairly simple, maybe somewhat costly, but simple fix. Now, I have thought that maybe in the future I will maybe switch this build into a different case with a little bit more room, and I'm not like squeezing things in there and there's a little bit better airflow, but for now this is going to be just fine. This case, the issues I've had with it really only mean that I would never go refurbished from NZXT again, because they just really dropped the ball several times. Final things though to this build, I do have both monitors set up. We are running my BenQ GL2460. Right here is the AOC 2460PF. This is a FreeSync monitor, but it's a 144 Hertz monitor. Works just fine with NVIDIA. This is my primary display. This is what I'm going to be gaming on. And then of course my old BenQ that I just mentioned, the GL2460. So those are still very much in play. And this laptop is still connected to the BenQ, so I can kind of flip back and forth. And the nice thing about this is if I need to look something up, I have another computer to look things up at. I could just flip the BenQ to the laptop. I can go into the laptop, search for what I need, have the desktop still running, find the solution, and get a fix. So all in all, it is working pretty well. The cords are kind of somewhat out there, but there's not much I can do there. Still trying to figure out this guy. This guy may move over towards the space between the subwoofer for the speakers and the AOC monitor, because I'm going to connect the Xbox via HDMI to the AOC. I just don't know if the power cord is going to be long enough to make it. I do have all the power underneath the desk on a very large surge protector, and everything through the grommets on the desk as much as possible. All in all though, I'm satisfied. I like the build. It came out, it booted, Windows installed, and after I fixed the graphics card issue, games run really well. I just have to finish the last few little bits of tweaking and updating and installing. Tonight I installed Adobe Premiere Pro, Adobe Photoshop, and After Effects. Handbrake is installed. I just have to now configure all those programs. I have to configure OBS Studio. I have to figure out X264 with DxTory or come up with a different solution. And I do have to test all the different games that I've installed. I want to see how they all run. I want to see how they all look. Actually, at this point in time, I am downloading Grand Theft Auto 5. I can't wait to see that one in full. It's full glory, although not completely full because that's a still very intense game. You can't turn everything up on that. And the desk space is great. I can't say enough good things about this build. It was, as I said, easy. It was straightforward. Everything connected really well. Just these little minor things. There's always these little minor things that you have to figure out, and I will get them figured out, and we will get this thing running at its absolute peak best, and hopefully we'll have it running for many years to come. And this will be my this is my battle station. This is where I'm going to be gaming. This is where I'm going to be rendering. This is where I'm going to be doing videos from, and I look forward to it. So this has been the Great PC Build of 2017. I hope you enjoyed the journey. I am sorry it took so long to get the journey to this point. I still have a lot of work to go. I actually have to go through all the old assets from the laptop and the external hard drive, move over the stuff that I want on here to use in editing. so that I can actually get to editing on this machine and just see how much we can get, because that is one of the things I want to do. I do want to see how much faster it is at editing versus the laptop, which means I need this Kraken to show up. So that is it. The build is pretty much done. If I have anything else related to this build, such as overclocking results or other tweaks I make to this build with time, I will include them in this playlist. You will see them. They will be part of the Great PC build of 2017. And they'll just be updates as they come along. Update 1 when I do the fans. Update 2 when I get this working or that working. But until then, that's it. If you have any thoughts, if you have any suggestions about any of the issues that I've outlined in this video, you are more than welcome to address them to me, because I have been searching high and low for solutions, reasonable, good solutions to the things I've mentioned in here. The cam software, the GPU tweak not working. Should I be using a different software? The fans, should I just go ahead and get new fans and then plug them into the individual headers? Should I use a splitter for 2 or 3 of the fans? Get rid of the freaking fan splitter on the NZXT case to begin with. Anything that you have to offer, I am willing to listen to. I hope you give me good, solid suggestions. And no, I don't want to hear about how I should have gotten Ryzen or I should have gotten a GTX 1080 because they just dropped again in price. 1080 for what I'm doing requires me to spend another $300 to $400 on a monitor at minimum, and I'm not doing that. If I have $300 to $400 to spend, I am updating my camera. True story. That's it though. Hope you enjoyed it. And I will catch you on the next possible episode in this series. Otherwise, check out my vlogs, check out my gaming channel. Let me know what you think. Until then, take it easy.